Hey folks, welcome to an overview video or chapter 12. Here we talk about writing about the visual. This is quite a lengthy chapter. I'm going to try to make this video be wrap up within about 10 minutes. I'm going to try my best. If I go overboard, I apologize in advance. As always, if you would like to take notes as we go through this video, you are welcome to pause the video and take notes. Revisit the video as often as you like. And here we go. So, chapter 12 opened with an intro basically saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words. People of the more recent generations, like Gen Alpha, Gen Z, even millennials, may be using visual aspects of visual literacy already, like memes, emojis, GIFs, or GIFs, however you want to say it. Those who use such visuals in their images already have a heightened understanding of the power of visual images. Because even if memes don't contain words, they still hold a message of some kind or an argument of some kind. So, one of the goals of this chapter is to increase your awareness of how you already analyze familiar visual works. That's supposed to be a K, not a D, like memes and advertisements, so that you can apply those skills of analysis to written works in this course. Visual works like paintings and sculptures definitely seem unrelated to college comp, but I promise you, the skills that we learn by analyzing such visual objects, they are unmatched. So more often than not, we tend to resort to internet summaries from either Wikipedia or SparkNotes or any chat GPT nowadays for essay or article or book summaries. But the problem with this is that it can lead to plagiarism, and it doesn't really do anything to help us establish or work on or enhance our own abilities to craft a summary. That doesn't really help us in any way. It just gives us an answer. Instead, if we work on describing a visual work, we practice the ability to describe something as we see it. And our descriptions, our summaries are going to be a lot more original when we practice the skill in this way. And that way, the pressure to use pre-existing summaries or descriptions is also reduced. Oh, this part also adds that writing about fine art can also enhance our creativity and analysis skills. Right here. When we are taking a look at a visual object and we're forcing ourselves to summarize it or describe it, we are challenging ourselves to find the right words to convey those visual aspects. So we want to describe it so vividly that other people who read our description or hear our description, they can visualize it in their head exactly. This chapter also talked about the formalist analysis of a descriptive summary, focuses on how descriptive summaries of art elements in a visual work and the analysis of such elements, they're all based on art principles. And here were some art elements that were defined in the text. If you need a second to copy some of these out, please do take the time to do that. I will tell you right now, aspects like space and form, you might see those kind of reflected in the analysis of poetry from time to time, because there's this thing where when we're taking a look at a poem, we might be tempted to also notice the what's the word the lack of white space or the use of white space, because the way that a poem is centered or organized or written on a page says a lot about the poem. It could say a lot about the writer. So it's very important to consider space and form and things like that in literature as well as in art. Here are some art principles that were also outlined in the text. Again, if there's something that you don't know of that's unfamiliar to you, please jot it down in your notes. The chapter or section 12.3 did a great job of giving us some examples of different analyses and kind of helping us to walk through the process of summarizing a piece or analyzing a piece. So if you need some practice, this section would be really, really helpful. Then we jump into analyzing advertisements because, believe it or not, ads are also an aspect of visual works. They're ubiquitous in digital and print media, and more often than not, they appear without our active choice. Like, imagine you're watching TV at 8 o'clock, and then 8:30 hits or whatever, and then you are subjected to 3 different advertisements. You have no idea what these ads are going to be, but like, say one of them is a McDonald's ad, and you are watching your weight. You're on a new diet or something like that. Maybe you're doing keto. Who knows? But maybe you feel upset that how come this ad had to show up right here, right now, when I am undergoing this difficult journey? And that's when maybe you might want to kick in your analysis of rhetorical elements in advertisements, because even though ads might not be traditional art, they are crafted with a detail very similar to that which is used in paintings or films. So take a look at the color, the tone, the perspective. If we go back to the McDonald's ads, notice that they always use such bright and vivid colors, like bright yellows, bright oranges, reds. They're very lively colors, and most of the ads show happy people. So like, you want to pay attention to those little things, the movements, the arrangements, the audio, because ads are designed to be persuasive, and they're going to persuade the audience through some of these elements, as well as the other elements that we talked about regarding art. There's also the use of rhetorical appeals, could be credibility, emotions, logic. One or more of these rhetorical appeals are often used in advertisements, so make sure that you keep an eye out for those, especially through the use of slogans, power words, attention-grabbing elements, endorsements, things like that you want to keep an eye out for when you are analyzing an advertisement. So the ideology behind advertisements is that ads can reflect and shape societal values and assumptions, and it's very important that we recognize and critically evaluate the beliefs and assumptions in each ad, because they reveal a lot about the creator and a lot about the targeted audience. While pervasive and often engaging, ads carry a very significant influence in shaping the perception and behaviors of others, necessitating a thoughtful and analytical approach to their content and intent. From advertisements, we move into film. So just like painting, just like sculptures, just like advertisements, films can also be analyzed, and films also incorporate those artistic elements, the rhetorical elements, and then they also tie in more elements, film elements like screenplay, set design, acting, cinematography, so on and so forth. When we analyze these elements, it helps to reveal the film's construction and intention. There were 2 different ways that our textbook talks about note-taking strategies for when we do a film analysis. Option 1 was using focused questions on film elements. Option 2 was the treatment plus analysis method, which is basically where you take a page, and as you're watching the film, on one side you write down like a very brief observation, like at least 2 observations per scene, and then on the right hand side, you're going to write down some analytical notes based on those observations. When we evaluate a film and analyze a film, we are taking a look at the film's quality based on particular criteria and evidence, and our interpretation focuses on understanding the film's meaning. So when we are writing a film evaluation essay, we have to make sure that it's argumentative and not just opinion-based. We got to be able to back it up with evidence. When we write a film interpretation essay, we have to analyze the film on a deeper level and a more symbolic level. So we might use interpretation as a criteria for evaluation because films are literary works and they can be interpreted very similarly to plays and novels and poetry and creative nonfiction. What is so important about a personal analysis? Well, a good writer doesn't go out to outside sources for any components of their essay that they are capable of writing. So if you ever have to do a film analysis and you choose an element that you don't really have the experience to analyze, it's okay to choose another element. The text also talked about analyzing graphic novels, and graphic novels can be a little intense for some people to analyze because you have to pay attention to the text and to the images, and then you also have to take a look at how the two interact with each other. So modern readers can kind of pick up on this skill a little bit better, just because digital literacy skills have been so developed by that point. Just like a regular book, we have to make sure that we keep an eye out for certain themes, just like we would for any other kind of literary work. You have to focus on artistic styles. You might even need to pay attention to some cultural references and allusions. Um, the text gave us some questions for analyzing graphic novels, like focusing on the interaction of images and words and symbols and how they contribute to the overall message, as well as other questions talking about the sequence of images, the page layout, so on and so forth. The structure of graphic novels is another aspect that one can analyze because stories are told through sequences of images and panels, and they're separated by gutters and all these different things, and all of these different graphic novel elements, in addition to stuff that we said for film, for ads, for paintings and sculptures, all of those elements kind of combine, and we can apply those elements that we analyze to graphic novels as well, if that makes any sense. Section 12.8, we are just about at the end. This talks about formatting and citing, documenting visual resources because citing images is as important as citing written resources. If you don't, it is plagiarism. It I cannot express to you how important it is that you cite all images that you incorporate in the body of your work, that you refer to in your written work. So, museum pieces. If you find something in the museum that you need to refer to in your essays, the information on their placards can be reformatted to MLA citation form and then be written in as a works cited entry. If your image is online based or net based, web based, you are going to want to include specific details like the date, place, URL, so on and so forth. You're welcome to use citation generators if you will. I would suggest that you double check whatever citations that the citation machine or whatever spits out at you by cross-referencing it with Purdue OWL's webpage on citing art and images. Remember, when you put an image in the body of your work, it should be centered and numbered as figures. If you've got captions, make sure that they are double spaced within those essay margins. So I think that is it for this chapter. If you have any questions on any aspect of it, please don't hesitate to reach out. If you have no questions, we are good to move on.